welcome to Alvarez versus Meltzer, the show where I challenge the star rating of the one and only Dave Meltzer. My name is Ryan Alvarez, and today we are taking a look at the handicap ladder match for control of the WWF between Stone Cold Steve Austin and the father-son dynamic duo of Vince and Shane McMahon from King of the Ring 1999. Meltzer gave this match a 2.5 star rating out of 5. Let's see if I agree. So there's a lot to digest here, so this is going to be a very quick gist of everything that's been going on. So, flashback to WrestleMania 15, Stone Cold beats The Rock, wins the WWF Championship, which at this point in storyline, Vince does not want. At this point, Shane and Vince are now feuding over who is actually running the corporation. Shane and The Undertaker then combine forces to form the corporate ministry. So now, current time, we'll look a month back. So now we're at Over the Edge, 1999. Stone Cold lost the title to The Undertaker. We had Shane McMahon as the special guest referee. Shenanigans! Shane pulled a fast count. So now, weeks later, the corporate ministry introduces their higher power. The individual that was pulling all the strings, having Stephanie kidnapped, almost put into wedlock with The Undertaker. And this is that point in time where Stephanie's in the limo and The Undertaker is driving. He says, "Where to, Stephanie?" Like he's driving. Just great Attitude Era stuff here. So the higher power turns out to be Vince McMahon himself. So through this whole process, The Undertaker has been, I wouldn't say torturing, but he's been making Vince's life pretty rough. Burning, some of Stephanie's childhood toys. But he's been like the de facto face here for a couple weeks now. But he said this face turn, if you want to call it that, was to ultimately screw Austin out of the title. Convoluted here. There were a number of people that were lined up to be the higher power. The most infamous one being Jake the Snake Roberts. Ultimately, they went with him and had to back out due to some issues in his personal life with substance abuse. So we get what we get. On the ramp, we get Stephanie standing next to then CEO Linda McMahon. She resigns, but before she does, names her successor in Stone Cold Steve Austin. Austin challenges Vince and Shane to a handicap match. Then Vince raises the stakes, puts his CEO status on the line in a ladder match. This is where we get Austin in Titan Towers. And there's the boardroom scene. There's the scene in Vince's office. Oh, what do you want to eat? I'll have a cold beer, and it's just perfect. And then on the Go Home episode of Raw, Austin beats the Big Boss Man to ensure that there will be no corporate interference. So cut to the night of. Before the King of the Ring semifinal matches, Vince comes out and says that Shane is unable to compete. So he tries to cancel the match, but commissioner at the time, the Heartbreak Kid himself, Shawn Michaels, says the match will happen and a suitable replacement needs to be found. Match time! Shout out to Tommy Dreamer. Vince out first says that Shane's suitable replacement is none other than the Lethal Weapon Steve Blackman. We cut to a security camera in the back, showing Shane hanging out with the Mean Street Posse, showing that he is totally healthy and totally able to compete. They see the cameras on them. They try to book it out. APA stops them. Walks Shane out to the ring. Stone Cold's music hits, and it's such an incredibly massive pop. This is the loudest pop that I've heard from a crowd doing the Alvarez versus Meltzer shows so far, which is crazy. And I would even say on the channel in general, through my time on Referee's Discretion and Quick Count, and then include this, this is the loudest pop by far. So, on to the actual match. Vince and Shane go to grab the ladder. Stone Cold gets him from behind. We almost get right back in the ring where Stone Cold is in full control for the first, I'd say, third of the match. Shane gets crotched on the ring post. Goes for Vince. Chase ensues. Shane gets to jump on Austin. Vince grabs the ladder, but Austin thumps him in the eye. This is where I have to give the set design team some love. And this was the best thing about even into the mid 2000s. The set designs here were incredible. It shows there was time and love put into each different pay-per-view set. Where now you look at it, even pre-pandemic, and it was, hey, whatever the Raw set is, we'll just use that and throw, No Mercy on it or something. It's kind of what differentiates the pay-per-views from each other, rather than just another Raw show or another SmackDown show. So I would eventually like to see them get back to this once we get back into the swing of things. But here we have multiple ladders acting as a platform being held up by more ladders. It's great when Shane climbs up and Austin gives chase. Eventually the father-son duo get thrown into the ladders. Austin would eventually bury them underneath the platform of ladders. Going back to try to count, it's at least a dozen ladders. They are the aluminum ones, so it does soften the blow, but still, you're being buried by a dozen ladders. So far, the numbers game, though, hasn't gotten to Austin. Grabs the ladder, heads to the ring. Shane takes a crazy spot here. Austin uses the ladder and uses the baseball slide essentially right into Shane's face. It sends him toppling over the announce table right into Jim Ross. Knocks his hat off. Crazy over-the-top spot right there. Austin puts Shane onto the Spanish announce table. Hits an elbow drop from the ladder. Vince and Austin now dueling on said ladder. Vince gets knocked off, but Austin gets pushed onto the American announce table. He bounces and does not break, so it looks even worse. Vince now in the ring. He has a ladder. Starts the climb, and he's almost there, but Austin cuts him off with a low blow. Austin using the ladder on Shane to do some serious damage to the midsection. Shane gets catapulted into a ladder, then has a ladder thrown onto him. Both McMahons are down. Austin starts the climb, but Vince recovers, tips the ladder over. Vince tries to catapult Shane up to the briefcase. One of the, I'm not even sure what you call it, but you see it in cheerleading a lot. Just try to hoist him up there. And then he tries to get him up there via electric chair. None work. Austin with a stunner to Vince, stunner to Shane. So he grabs the ladder, starts the climb. Austin is inches away from the briefcase, but it gets pulled up. Yeah, that's right. He can't grab it because it is now too high for him to grab. Austin flips out. He's at ringside. He's yelling at commentary, yelling at the timekeeper's area, yelling at poor Howard Finkel. So Austin is now going ballistic. Vince recovers and is now fingertips away from the briefcase. And now it's being lowered. So you know this is some corporation shenanigans. Shane pushes the ladder over. sacrificing his dad in the process. So now Vince and Stone Cold are down. Shane climbs up. The briefcase is lowered once again. Shane grabs the briefcase, and the McMahons are back in control of WWF. With that being said, do I agree with Meltzer? I can't. The best I can do for this one is 2 stars out of 5. It was entertaining. This was a 15-minute squash match. Austin's assault on the McMahons is definitely great. And the crowd eats this up. But there really wasn't a technical aspect to this match. If we're looking at the wrestling part as opposed to the entertainment part, the entertainment part was probably a 3. The wrestling was a 1. I'll meet you in the middle at 2. The rumor has always been that the person messing with the briefcase was the big boss man. Looks like we'll never know. You at home, though, what did you think about this match? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe, as well as visiting our social media links in the description. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time on Alvarez vs. Meltzer.